Elio guys, and welcome back. In today's video, we're going to be doing a review on Eden, so without further ado, let's go ahead and get right into it. Alright, so right before we get into Eden though, once again, shameless plug, if you guys haven't checked out the subreddit yet, you're missing out here because I have been working on like version 2 of the tier list right here, and obviously stuff like this is just due to change just because this is pure speculation, but I've started adding in like photos and stuff of the characters just to help me get more of a feel of them, and also I've been giving them little nicknames like for Sentin, for example, Counterattack King, Gustav, Dark Knight, there's Dario, who I just titled Single Target Nuker because that is what he is. So if you guys have any feedback on making either the tier list look a little bit better, or if you have any insight into the actual character, because this is just speculation of me not only looking at their stats but also their skills, then feel free to hit me up either on Discord. You can leave a comment below. There's the subreddit. There's all kinds of stuff going on here. But let's go ahead and focus on baby girl Eden, shall we? So Eden is one of the characters that we start off, well, not necessarily start off in the game, but you get her fairly early, so I just call her like a starting off character. And I think it's important just to review her because it also helps to establish some basic understanding of the game in itself. So we have Eden over here. She is obviously one of the light marks, and she is a supporter. And going with her skills really quickly here, her basic attack, which is Appeasing Assault, it deals 160% attack damage to a single enemy, and it has a 60% chance to reduce their attack by 20% for 2 turns. The main selling point here, we can see if she's fully booked up, that it goes up to 100% for her reducing their attack down. That's it. She's just there to help prevent damage for your entire team. Her second skill, Enchanted Blessing, increases all allies' attack by 20% for 2 rounds. And we can see with it fully booked up, it also gets its skill cooldown reduced by 2 rounds, which makes this attack nearly spammable. So there's roughly like a 1 turn cooldown with this attack, so you can feel free to go in battle, spam this up, and just use it and boost the attack of everyone else on your party here, which I think especially in the beginning isn't really noticeable because your stats aren't that high, but as you get later into the game, you do notice that that attack up by itself helps. But the downside about this is that it doesn't add anything else to it. It doesn't increase the speed of your units, it doesn't increase their defense, it doesn't give them like a heal sack or anything. It just boosts up their attack, which Eden, you will see, kind of suffers from a jack of all trade type build where she does a little bit of this and a little bit of that, but she can't really excel due to that nature, which makes sense as a beginning unit. And then Favorable Wind, when a round ends, it increases 4% of her self speed up to 3% per time, and this effect cannot be removed. Fully booked up, there's apparently 3 attempts of this of kind of boosting up her speed, which honestly, unless I'm crazy here, I don't really find that super useful until you get like to the end of a stage and you're fighting the boss, at least in terms of PvE. In PvP, that's a different story because, well, it's just that round. But for PvE especially, this doesn't seem very useful because there's just other units out there, especially in nightmare mode and higher, that naturally outspeed your character unless they have a speed set. So it's kind of one of those passives where it's usable and it's useful, but only in certain scenarios. And then for her ultimate skill, which is Recovery Energy, she restores HP by 8% of her max HP for all allies and grants them a layer of heal for 2 rounds. And if you go over here and click heal, obviously heal restores self HP by 5% of max HP each round before action. So right before your character gets their turn to go, they're going to get that added HP and then they can attack. So, I mean, that's nice, but the cooldown on it is 5 rounds, which is super high, and with this fully booked up here, it goes up to 14% of her max HP for all allies, and it does get reduced to 4 turns. But the issue with this skill, you'll find out very quickly, is the heals simply aren't enough. The heals in themselves are lackluster. It's very, very small, especially as you get higher and get into harder parts of the game where this doesn't really, you know, I'm not saying that it's useless, but it really loses its effect super quickly, which as we can see here with her kit, she has attack down She can boost the attack of the entire squad, and she can also heal the entire squad, but she doesn't do anything besides the attack down super reliably. Taking a look at her exclusive weapon though, the Enchanted Blessing grants 1 layer of heal for 3 allies with the lowest HP percentage for 2 rounds. So that does help boost up the heal tier and gives her a little bit more utility. At level 2, Enhanced Blessing also increases all allies AP by 15%, kind of speeding them up with their turns, which is exactly what we want. And then for her level 3, Recovery Energy, aka her ultimate, increases allies speed by 20% for 2 rounds, and then she also gets a natural speed increase. So the problem with Eden, which you'll see a lot with a lot of other epic characters, is without steep investment, she just falls short. Like right now, I have been using her to get through part of the story, but like right now, especially with where I'm at in Nightmare, it's just no point in bringing her, because even though she has attack up and heals, well, we have our boy Magus, or Magus, however you want to call him, that can actually do some dank heals, like some super duper dope heals. And then for her other skill, which raises everyone's attack up, there's other characters that utilize this ability where they can boost the attack up of the entire squad, and some of them can actually get turns while they're boosting up your attack. Or if they boost up the attack of the entire squad, once again, they're not only here for like subpar damage and subpar heals, they're actually doing damage. So it's like she's just a jack of all trades, which kind of hurts her performance, but I think it's kind of important too, especially for newer players that first experience the game, to get that basic understanding of her. Now with that out of the way here, in terms of like her substats that you should be aiming for, I would honestly just say HP and speed. You could get some more attack out of her, but the issue with trying to build her around attack is, look, she has this move right here which does damage. This is just a buff. This is just a passive. Once again, this is literally just a buff, or I guess you could technically say a heal. So getting damage out of her literally makes no sense at all. Defense is just for survivability, but remember that her heals scale off her HP. So as much HP as possible and as much speed as possible on her would basically be the way to go. And you know, just pointing that out too, obviously you cannot get no damage from Eden. It's just impossible. She literally has one move that does damage. Even with a 20% increase, that's still not enough. So I think using her, especially in the beginning, can be useful for obviously all players until you pull someone. So I think using her in the beginning is super useful until you pull someone like Magus, for example. There's also another healer out there that people have been saying is just smiley face gaming. I believe it's Liz over here, because she has HP burning. She restores HP by 80% of her attack, and plus 6% of max HP for an ally, and grants him a resistance debuff. She also can heal herself, and she restores 10% of max HP for all allies, cleanses their dot debuffs, and gives them a shield. So if you end up pulling Liz, which I unfortunately haven't already, go ahead and just throw Eden out the water. You can run in with Liz and Magus, you can go ahead and just run in with Liz. Like, that's literally it. Even though her move is at base, it's already 10%. She cleanses dots and shield. Eden, you get heals and absolutely no utility with that. But with that being said, that's pretty much the end of the review here. Once again, she kind of serves as just a beginner unit. There's really nothing else to talk about other than, you know, team compositions, to where if you invest into Eden, yeah, she's going to be better. But once again, the issue with her is that no matter how good and how much investment that you give her, her boosting everyone's speed up is nice. But there's other characters that do the same thing that can probably out-heal her. And there's other characters with the whole attack up situation that can not only deal damage, but boost up the attack of the entire squad. But that's pretty much it for Eden, you guys. Feel free to leave in the comments below about what character you guys might be interested in checking out next. Once again, check out the tier list if you haven't already. Consider subscribing for more Infinite Magicraid content. And I'll see you guys on Discord and hopefully the Reddit.